Hey, Booktube, Sean here, and I'm coming to you with my week in books. I haven't done one of these in a couple of weeks since my first one, mostly because last weekend I did post a little update video, but I just didn't have much time at all to record anything last weekend, and I really hadn't read a whole lot the previous week anyway, so it didn't seem worth trying to fit in time I didn't have to record, not talking about a lot. Anyway, so let's get into it. First off, books that I finished since my last one, and I finished Ali Smith's Public Library and Other Stories, and this is just a really nice collection of short stories. There's a quote on here that says a collection about libraries, but really the stories themselves are not centrally about libraries. There are bits in between each story where she is talking about somebody she talked to about libraries and their importance, but the stories themselves are more about books and words and just the beauty of language, and the way she weaves that into these stories is really quite interesting. I definitely want to read more by her, which is good because one of her books is on the Bailey's prize winners project that I want to tackle. I want to tackle the Bailey's winners, and her How to Be Both is a winner of that. So it was nice to kind of get a little taste of her writing style, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to reading more Ali Smith. The next book I finished on Friday, and it was The Deep by Nick Cutter. This is a horror novel about this plague called the Gets, and they have discovered a substance 8 miles underwater that may help cure the Gets. So they built a research facility 8 miles underwater, which is deeper than any research facility or structure has been built before. So like if a tiny crack appears in this structure, then the whole thing collapses, everybody dies. And they've lost connection with the underwater lab, and one of the last things they got was a recording from one of the scientists asking for his brother. So they bring his brother, a veterinarian, in to go down and find his brother and see what's going on. And it's first 2/3 of this book is just creepy underwater. Anything could happen at any time. So you get always this sense of suspense of what the noises are, what's about to happen, is the structure going to collapse, which of the scientists have just gone absolutely nuts and could start murdering anybody at any time. But then the last third of this book, the last 80 to 100 pages of this book, I'm going to be thinking about this book for a while. The last 80 to 100 pages was just this absolute mind twist, completely twisted dreams mixed with body horror, and it was just messed up, and in a good way. So I highly recommend reading this book, but it is not for the weak, especially the last 80 pages or so. If you're not used to a lot of horror and you're not used to a lot of graphic descriptions of things that can happen to the body, then you might want to do a little more gateway horror first. But I did really enjoy this book, and I'm really looking forward to reading more from him. And you don't even expect it from reading the first couple hundred pages. You don't expect it to go this way at all, and it does. And that the ending, I'm going to be thinking about this one for a while. And actually, April at Getting Hygge with It has started a Goodreads group for people who like to read scary and horror books and thriller books. She's calling it. Let me look real quick. I'm dying to read, I believe. But I will link her. I will link the group in the description. Yeah, Dying to Read Book Club. So I will link that below. And the first book that they're going to read next month in August is The Deep by Nick Cutter. So while I have already read that book, I am excited to discuss it with people as they read it too. So if you're interested in that at all, I'll link the group below, and you can go and join and read the Deep with everybody, and I'll be participating in the discussions. Okay, next, books I acquired. Let's do books I acquired over the past, since I did a video. And I already did the book haul from the Detroit Book Festival. If you haven't seen that, I'll link it in the description so that you can see what I got at the Detroit Book Festival. I didn't want to make this video, super long with that book haul. So I acquired a few things, since my last recording. And they are The Power by Naomi Alderman. This was this year's Bailey Women's Prize for Fiction winner. I don't really know a whole lot about it, other than I'll just back's really quick. I'll just read the back. All over the women are discovering that they have the power. With a flick of the fingers, they can inflict terrible pain, even death. Suddenly, every man on the planet finds they've lost control. The day of the girls has arrived, but where will it end? And really, that's as much as I know about it. And I've heard mixed things about it from some booktubers who were reading the Bailey shortlist, and most of them really enjoyed it, but they were surprised that it won over something else. But I'm looking forward to getting to this. Next one I picked up is The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. And this is a nonfiction about, basically about Henrietta Lacks' DNA. It's her DNA that has been being used for cancer research, basically since she died. And this is the book about basically her life and the life of her DNA. And this was Welcome Book Prize winner, and it is it's August. The project that Kitty G and Elena at Elena Reads Books are doing of reading the Welcome Prize winners, and they're doing the live chats. I think I've mentioned it before, and I'll link both their channels below. But this is the book they're reading for that in August, because it's the next in line of the winners. So I'm going to be reading that in August. The next one I picked up was Lauren Buke's Broken Monsters. This is a thriller about a guy, thriller / horror, I think. It takes place in Detroit. So I got it as an option for Book Riot Read Harder Challenge, something within 100 miles of where you live. Like I said before, I'm not super focusing on the Book Riot Read Harder Challenge. I'll get as much of it done as I can, but I'm not really stressing out over that one. But I have her Shining Girls over here too. But this sounded great, and bodies are turning up with animal parts sewed to them, almost like somebody tried to create hybrids. So it's about trying to find who's doing that. And the next one I got was my first book for Book of the Month Club. I joined Book of the Month Club this month, and I picked up Final Girls by Riley Sager. And this is a thriller about three girls who were the basically the horror trope of the final girl. They each one of them was the final survivor of a horror movie like massacre. And at the beginning, one of them commits suicide, and it's one of the others who has gone into seclusion comes to find the final one, and then it becomes a thriller from there. The main character has lost her memory of the events, and the other final girl is doing things to try to get her to remember. And I started reading it like the day I got it. I'm about 90 pages in, so that's about as much as I can tell you about it. It's gotten Julie at A Girl in a Book, and Rachel at The Shades of Orange, and April at Getting Hygge With It all really liked it. So I'm excited to get back into this week after finishing a couple other books. And also, I got approved on NetGalley to read a couple of things, so I was really excited about that. I signed up and requested a couple of things, thinking, no way at this point am I going to get approved for anything. And I got approved for a book called Sea of Rust, and the author's name escapes me. I wasn't even sure I was going to mention that in this video, so I didn't look it up. But it's a kind of robot apocalypse sci-fi novel. And I also, this one really excited me. I got approved to read Artemis by Andy Weir. Comes out in November. So when we get closer to the release of that book, I'll be posting a review of Artemis by Andy Weir. I was super excited. I loved The Martian. So I requested that and thought, no way in hell am I getting approved for this. But I got approved for it. So I'm super excited to get to read an advanced copy of Artemis. And so that covers the books I picked up and that exciting news. And what I've been reading, I picked up a impromptu buddy read with Rachel at The Shades of Orange, and we're reading The Stars Are Legion by Cameron Hurley. I've got a little over 100 pages left in it. I'll finish it probably tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, I've been buddy reading that with her over the weekend, and that's been super fun. So it's always nice to have somebody to talk about a book you're reading with. So so far this one I'm enjoying a part of it. This book it's gotten mixed reviews on Booktube. A lot of people it's a little grotesque. The worlds are made up of basically flesh and organs, and the people who inhabit the worlds are created by the world, and it's all organic matter. And so it gets a little grotesque when the people get recycled. There's a chapter where people get thrown in what they call a recycling chute, and then this monster basically eats them and regurgitates them back into the organic matter of the planet. There is a part of this book that's bothering me a little bit. It's told from two perspectives, a character named Anna and a character named Jade. And it's Jade's chapters that right now, where I'm at in the book, don't feel like they need to be there. I'm much more focused on Zan's story than I am what's going on with Jade and her part of the story arc. It almost feels like two different books right now. But I'll let you know more when I finish it, if I liked how they brought everything together or not. I've also been reading The Obelisk Gate. I picked this back up this weekend. I don't know if I mentioned or not that I took some of the pressure off of myself to finish this one. I found out that the Stone Sky doesn't come out until August 15th. I thought it came out August 5th, so I was really trying to get this finished by the 1st of August. But I took a little bit of the pressure off myself when I found that out. And then Julie at A Girl in a Book reached out to me late this past week. She was reading it. She's been reading it with Michael at Bitten by a Radioactive Spider, and she was further than him, and she wanted to talk about it, and she knew I had been reading it, so it kind of made me pick it back up again. So I'm hoping actually to finish this within the next few days. I put these little flag markers in as daily reading goals, and I really overshot what I could do in a day, but which of us doesn't? Next one I've been reading is this month's book for that Welcome Prize project that Kitty G and Elena are doing. This is Keeper by Andrea Gillies, and this is about the author's time caring for her mother-in-law that was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. And my own grandfather had Alzheimer's disease, so it has been really interesting to me to learn more about the disease that my grandfather struggled with, and ultimately, I'm sure, had a hand in his passing. I was lucky enough that the last time I saw my grandfather, he still knew who I was. He lived in Florida, so I didn't see things when they got really bad with him, and he still knew who I was the last time I saw him, so I'm thankful for that. But this has been really interesting. I'm hoping to finish this up this week because they're doing the live show on Sunday. Then I want to, if as long as I'm available to do it, I want to tune in and be part of that conversation. And other than that, I started reading The Name of the Wind actually today. I picked that up. So far I'm only like 50 pages in, but so far I really like the writing style of that. It's very easy to read. So I'm kind of hoping I can get through that this week. I don't have a whole ton of time to read this week. I got a couple of nights free that I can get some reading done, and the next weekend is pretty full. But I'm hoping I can get a couple things. I'm hoping I can get a few things finished. I've been reading the Final Girls too. But yeah, hopefully I'll have a couple books finished I can talk about next week in next week's weekly wrap up. Other than that, not a whole lot going on. Yeah. So anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed to me thus far. I am making an effort to be more active on Twitter. I'm starting to get a little bit better at that. So please follow me on Twitter. Hook up with me there. Hook up with me on Goodreads, and let me know if you've read any of this stuff or want to, or what your thoughts are on it. I'd love to hear it. If you don't want to post a public comment, I love talking to you guys in the public comments. But if you'd rather just DM me on Goodreads or something, that's fine. That's fine too. I really want to hear from you guys. That's why I joined this community, is to have these conversations. And I've been really enjoying it so far. I'm starting to make some pretty good friends on here. And I want to make more. So hook up with me on Twitter, Goodreads, in the comments, and I will see you all in the next video.